Breaker of this world's chain, we adore thee, whom all men love, spotless, taking man's form. O purifier, thou art above the gunas three, knowledge divine, not flesh, thou whom the cosmos wears, a diamond at its heart. Let us look deep in thine eyes, they are bright with the wisdom of God, that can wake us from Maya's spell. Let us hold fast to thy feet, treading the waves of the world to safety. O drunk with love, God drunken lover, in thee all paths of all yogas meet. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours, who were born a child of our time, easy of access to us. O merciful, if we take any hold upon God in our prayer, it is by thy grace alone, since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. Without question thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills the hoof-print in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind, yet without thee we think not, nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Taker away of our pain, we salute thee, though we are blind. Come to the heart's black cave, and illumine, thou light of the light.
Karuna, Tava Pada
Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai. Jai Swamiji Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Raja Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Swami Turiyananda Maharaj Ji Ki Jai.
But the pad is not on. We have to change that. So he needs the stand.
All right.
Do you want the desk light? I have a desk light.
It would be good, I think, yeah. Thanks. He's bringing a light, Morris. Is this mic fine, like this distance?
It's kind of far.
Do you want to? Oh, that's much better.
As close as you want. But
It's fine, right?
you'll be able to turn the page. Yeah.
Yeah. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Good evening, everyone. We're reflecting tonight on a great soul, Swami Turiyanandaji Maharaj. It's his birthday today. He was born on 3rd January 1863, just 9 days before Swami Vivekananda was born. So almost exactly contemporaries. In Kolkata, his pre-monastic name was Harinath Chattopadhyay. Born in a Brahmin family. His mother passed away at the age of, when he was 3 years old. She was protecting him from a venomous serpent, a rabid jackal. And the jackal bit her instead, and she passed away. And his father passed away at the age of 12, when Hari Maharaj was 12. And his father had some psychic abilities, people said, that he could actually look into the future. And one of the family members told his dying father, console your young son, say something to him. And he said, what is there to say? Hari belongs to the world, and the world belongs to Hari. And that proved to be true. He studied at a Bengali school, and then he went to the General Assembly, which is a school run by Christian missionaries. And Hari had a fondness for orthodoxy. He was a Brahmin, and he really followed all of the Brahmin rituals. But what was striking about him is that he was this paradoxical combination of orthodoxy and liberality. He was very broad-minded as well. So even in this Christian school, he was one of the few Hindu boys to attend classes on Christianity and the Bible, and he was very interested. So he studied the Bible alongside the Upanishads. He started studying the great Hindu scriptures like the Chandi, Gita, Viveka-Chudamani. So he was a spiritual aspirant from a very young age, a very intense spiritual aspirant. He refused to marry. It was when he was 13 or 14 years old, the exact date's not known, so it's either 1876 or 77, that he first met Sri Ramakrishna at a devotee's house. And he said the moment he set eyes on him, he said, what a wonderful sight it was. I thought that Shukadeva himself had reincarnated as Sri Ramakrishna. At the same time, and this is another somewhat strange thing, he met him, he was so struck by him, but he didn't feel the impulse to visit him for a long time thereafter. It was only after a few years that he came back to him. And one of the reasons was that he was inclined to Shankara's classical Advaita Vedanta philosophy. And he was deeply convinced that renunciation is the main path. And he felt that, well, Sri Ramakrishna's living in the Kali temple, his Ishtadevata is Kali, that's more tantric. So I'm not sure that he's the appropriate guru for me. So he didn't feel the need to really visit him for a while. So it was actually after 2 or 3 years that he visited him again in 1880. And Sri Ramakrishna started to groom him in a really wondrous way. Turiyananji was very frank with him from the beginning. So he asked him, I'll give you one example. I don't have time to discuss these things in detail. He asked Sri Ramakrishna, how can one become free from lust completely? And Sri Ramakrishna answers, why should it go, my boy? Give it a turn in another direction. Morfiredo. What is lust? It is the desire to get. So desire to get God and strengthen this desire greatly. On another occasion, Hari Maharaj, thinking that Sri Ramakrishna would be happy, said, I don't care for women and who needs them? And he was being kind of a little bit insulting toward them. And Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. And he said, he said, you talk like a fool, looking down upon women. Why? They are the manifestations of the Divine Mother. Bow down to them with respect. That is the only way to escape from their snares. And this teaching permanently changed the way that Hari Maharaj looked upon women in the course of his life. Even after he started seeing Sri Ramakrishna, he spent a lot of time in studies. He was very studious, very scholarly, and so he was immersed in studying some of the classic texts of Advaita Vedanta. So he wouldn't come to Sri Ramakrishna very often. And Sri Ramakrishna inquired after him, and he found out that the reason he wasn't coming is because he was studying so much. Then Sri Ramakrishna called him to his room, and he said, hello, I hear that nowadays you are studying and discussing Advaita Vedanta philosophy. That is good, of course, but tell me, what is the teaching of Advaita Vedanta? Is it not that Brahman alone is real and the world unreal? Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya? Isn't that its substance, or does it say something else? Then why don't you give up the unreal and cling to the real? Even study of scriptures is part of Maya, actually. That's part of what Sri Ramakrishna, I think, was saying. So you have to plunge deep into spiritual practice. But more deeply, Sri Ramakrishna was grooming Turiyananji, the future Swami Turiyananji, in a different way. He was encouraging him on the path of Advaita Vedanta, but at the same time was telling him in many different ways that he's destined for a much greater and even higher ideal than the ideal of Advaita Vedanta. It's the ideal of what he called the Vijnani, seeing God in everyone and serving everyone in a spirit of worship by seeing God in everyone. Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. So, for instance, Sri Ramakrishna said to him one day, nothing can be achieved, neither knowledge, nor devotion, nor vision, without God's grace. Well, is it an easy matter to realize that lust and gold are unreal and to have the firm conviction that the world is eternally non-existent? Is it possible without her compassion? Can anyone have that conviction through her own effort? A man is, after all, a tiny creature with very limited powers. What an infinitesimal part of truth can he grasp by himself? And there's an incident here that should remind us of a famous incident from Swami Vivekananda's life. We know that Swami Vivekananda once told Sri Ramakrishna, I want nothing more than to immerse myself in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Forget about this world, come down once in a while to have a few sips of milk. And Sri Ramakrishna scolded him severely, said, "Shame on you. I thought you would be like a great banyan tree. Now I see you only care for your own salvation. Aren't you the one who sings, 'O Lord, thou art all that exists'?" Notice the similarity here. Hari tells Sri Ramakrishna that what I want in life more than anything else is nirvana, to extinguish my individuality in non-dual Brahman. Then Sri Ramakrishna scolds him. He says, "Those who seek nirvana are selfish and small-minded. They are full of fear. They are like those parcheesi players who are always eager to reach home. An amateur player, once he sends his piece home, doesn't like to bring it out again. Such players are unskilled, but an adept player is never afraid of coming out again, if by doing so he gets the opportunity to capture an opponent. Then he rolls the right number and returns home once more. It seems that whenever he rolls the dice, the right number comes up for him. So do not fear. Play without any fear." And looking back on this period of his tutelage, his discipleship under Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyananji, many years later, told Swami Raghavanandaji the following about how Sri Ramakrishna groomed him. Turiyananji says, "When I was of your age, I was an extreme Advaita Vedantin. My one ideal at that time was to attain nirvana. I used to consider that to be the supreme goal. But Sri Ramakrishna scolded me again and again and gave me another ideal. He pointed out that the path of knowledge was not my way. He made me a devotee, a bhakta, instead. I can still remember how the master disciplined me." So another very interesting incident, this is recorded in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, 24th May 1884. Hari asks Sri Ramakrishna, "Why is there so much suffering in the world?" And Sri Ramakrishna answers, "This world is a leela of God. It is like a game. In this game there are joy and sorrow, virtue and vice, knowledge and ignorance, good and evil. The game cannot continue if sin and suffering are altogether eliminated from creation." Then Hari, very intelligent young boy, says very poignantly, "But this play of God is our death. God's leela is our death." Sri Ramakrishna, smiling, "But who are you? God alone has become all of this, Maya, the universe, living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. As the snake I bite, and as a charmer I cure. It is God herself who has become both vidya and avidya." So again, Sri Ramakrishna is again and again pushing him toward the standpoint of vijnana. See God in everything, then you won't see evil anywhere. You see suffering because you don't see God in everything. 14th July 1885, he's teaching him basically the expansive infinitude of the divine reality. He says to Hari Maharaj, "You see, in one form, God is the absolute, the nitya, and in another form, he is the leela, and both are true." Toward the end of Sri Ramakrishna's life, he was residing in Kashipur, the garden house, and Turiyananji asked him, "How are you?" Sri Ramakrishna tells him, "Oh, I am in great pain. I cannot eat anything, and there is an unbearable burning in my throat." But Hari Maharaj, he was onto him, so he said, "Sir, whatever you may say, I see you as an infinite ocean of bliss." And then Sri Ramakrishna said with a smile, "This rascal has found me out." After Sri Ramakrishna left his body in 1886, Hari Maharaj had a tendency to wander, to be a wandering monk, very, very austere, full of renunciation, detachment. So he stayed in the Boranagar Math, the first makeshift monastery that the monastic disciples had, between 1887 and 1889. But from 1889 onward, he went on long pilgrimages in the Himalayas. And he came back in 1895 to 6 to a second monastery, Alambajar Monastery, stayed with his brother monks again, but then got restless again, and then went off to wander again. So he had that wandering tendency. There are beautiful incidents, and I don't have time to recount them, but I'll just mention one during his wandering days. He said, "One night in Ujjain, I was sleeping under a tree. A storm came, and suddenly someone touched me. I got up, and at once a branch fell on the spot where I'd slept." So he felt that Sri Ramakrishna himself had saved his life by waking him up and moving him. So then, Turiyanji comes back to Belur Math once Swami Vivekananda had established Belur Math in 1898. And that was a kind of turning point in Swami Turiyanji's life. Swamiji told him, "Brother Hari, I've made a new path and opened it to all. Up till now, it was thought that liberation could be attained only by meditation, repetition of God's names, scriptural discussion, and so forth. Now, young men and women will attain liberation by doing the Lord's work." And this was a segue to Swamiji telling him, so I want you to go to the West and serve God in the West. Turiyanji in the beginning was very reluctant, but Swamiji finally convinced him, and Turiyanji left for England and America with Swami Vivekananda and Sister Nivedita in June 1899. They first stayed in England for some time. And then he went with Swami Vivekananda to the US on 16th August 1899. And at that time, he was still teaching extreme Advaita Vedanta. Brahman alone is real, everything else is unreal. The human soul is that Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahma Eva Naparaha. Giving fiery lectures. And his life was so luminous that people were moved by the teachings and by the life that they were seeing. He moved to California, where Swamiji asked him to serve. And he started Shanti Ashrama, this massive place of over 100 acres in Northern California. And he was there for about 18 months in total. He was with about a dozen devotees, men and women. And it was quite extraordinary. I mean, they had to lead a very austere lifestyle. And he told them one day, after seeing how well they were faring in spite of all the difficulties, he said to his disciples, these devotees in Shanti Ashrama, "Once our master told us that he had other disciples who spoke a different language, who had different customs, somewhere far away in the West. They also will worship me," the master said. "They also are mother's children. You are those disciples," Turiyanji told them solemnly. "Mother has revealed it to me." And on one occasion in Shanti Ashrama, he tells these predominantly Christian devotees, he says, "You are always speaking of being good." I think this is equally true now as it was then. "You are always speaking of being good. That is your highest ideal. We in India want mukti, liberation. You believe in sin, so you want to conquer sin by being good. We believe ignorance to be the great evil, so we want to conquer ignorance with jnana, wisdom. And jnana is mukti. Know the truth," Jesus said, "and the truth shall make you free." So notice how he's using a Christian text teaching to kind of convince these Christians to accept the Vedantic teaching. It's a very brilliant way of teaching. In 1901, he shifted to San Francisco and Oakland, and he continued to teach there. Now we see a shift. It's a gradual shift, but still a kind of noticeable shift in his attitude, spiritual attitude. He says the following, for instance. This is in San Francisco, in Oakland. He says, "No matter about philosophy or even the Gita, the thing to do is to know Mother. That is the whole of religion. Nothing else counts. Take all your troubles to Mother. She will right all wrongs." He ultimately stayed in the US for almost 3 years, 2 years and 9 months. Oh, and I should mention, so he was very ill. And Swamiji himself, Swami Vivekananda, had decided, okay, let's call him back to India for some time. He can recover and then go back to Shanti Ashrama. That was the plan. And so they had booked him a first-class ticket to go back to India. But Swami Turiyanji had a very interesting vision, which he told Guru Das Maharaj about much later. He said, "One evening, just after dusk," this is while he's still in the US, "when I had entered the little cabin we shared together, the Swami told me of a vision he had had." The Guru Das Maharaj is saying this. "The Divine Mother had come to him, to Swami Turiyanandaji, and had asked him to remain in Shanti Ashrama. But he had refused. Then she told him that if he stayed in the ashrama, the work would grow rapidly, and many beautiful buildings would be erected. Still he had refused. At last she showed him the place full of disciples. "Let me go to Swamiji first," he had said, and the mother, with grave countenance, vanished from his sight. The vision had left him unhappy and disturbed in mind. "I have done wrong," he said with a sigh, "but it cannot be helped now." So this is one of these puzzles in our tradition. He had fully surrendered to Divine Mother, and yet he had, in a sense, disobeyed her, and he regretted it later. So he ended up coming back to India, but just missing Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda left his body on July 4th, 1902, and he just missed it. He was devastated. And he refused to go back to the West. He stayed in India for the rest of his life. He resumed his wandering days as a monk, going all over the Himalayas, Kankal, Almora, Puri. Once Guru Das Maharaj asked him, "Did not Sri Ramakrishna's teachings differ somewhat from Shankaracharya's Maya theory?" And Turiyanji says the following: "Yes, Shankara taught only one phase, how to get freedom, nirvana. Our master first made one free, and then taught how one should live in the world. Be free first, do away with name and form and the entire universe. Then see Mother in all, then be her playfellow. First be a jnani and then be a vijnani." And at the very end of his life, well, I'll mention one thing before that. He was, as I mentioned many times, he was very austere, he was a great yogi. And he could simply withdraw his consciousness from the body whenever he wanted to. So he suffered from all sorts of ailments because of all the austerities that he underwent. And one time he had to go through a surgery, or any time really that he was put under surgery, he refused to take any kind of anesthetic. No chloroform, nothing. And he would just sit there, the doctor's completely stunned, and he would just shut his eyes and just remove his consciousness from that part of the body that was going to be operated on. And he wouldn't feel any pain at all. He spent his last days in Varanasi, Benares. On the 20th of July, 1922, he actually announced, he said, "Tomorrow is the last day." And in fact, the next day, he left his body. Before he did, he said some very pregnant last words. His final words on his deathbed were, "Brahma Shatto, Jagat Shatto, Shabi Shatto, Shatte Pran Pratishtito." Everything is real. Brahman is real. The world is real. Life itself is based on truth. Jai Shri Ram Krishna, Jai Shri Ram Krishna. And then, along with Swami Akhandanandaji, he repeated the great Upanishadic mantra from Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And he closed his eyes and left his body. So let us all reflect reverentially on his life today and try to live up to this very high ideal he set for us. Seeing God in everyone and trying to live up to Sri Ramakrishna's great teaching. Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. Worship, serve others in a spirit of worship by trying to see God in everyone. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.